This is episode 31 of This Makes Me Happy. 4 years ago, I learned that riding bikes makes me happy. And since then, I've been riding with the MS Society on the annual City to Shore to raise funds to create a world without multiple sclerosis. On September 24th, I rode 100 miles with my friend Christine and a bunch of her friends in honor of her mom, Sharon, under the team Shashaboom to raise funds for the MS Society. Please go to thehappypodcast.com/give to give to this worthy cause. Thank you. Welcome to This Makes Me Happy, a podcast about people and what makes them happy. My name is Bernardo Margulis. I'm a designer, art director, and educator, and I'm the principal of This Makes Me Happy, a studio where I help my clients with branding and visual communications. I'm interested in hearing what makes people happy, so I'm asking them to share through This Makes Me Happy, the podcast. Every week, I will bring a conversation with a new guest on any topic they choose, and we'll learn what makes that person happy. Hello, I am very, very happy to have Yael Grauer with me. Yael is a freelance journalist and investigative reporter. She writes about things that she finds fascinating at the moment. Lately, that's been all things tech, world-changing NGOs, and the rampant government corporate corruption. Her work has been featured in Wired, Motherboard, Future Tense, and many other publications. Hi, Yael. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I'm happy to chat with you after chatting over email and different platforms and finally voice to voice.
Yeah.
Is there anything else from my introduction that you want the audience to know about you?
No, not really. I've been writing a lot about like surveillance and digital freedom lately.
And I'll make sure to link to your portfolio for people to read everything you've been writing about. But yeah, let's get straight to the main topic. What makes you happy?
You know, the thing, I have a long list of things that make me happy, but the one that I think about the most is probably my puppy. Her name is Bailey.
Bailey. And tell me a little about Bailey.
So she's about 8 months old, and she is a Chewy, so she's half Chihuahua and half Dachshund. And she's just like super happy all the time, and it's kind of like a nice reminder. Like she's very excited about everything, and it's hard not to kind of have a smile on your face.
How old is she?
November 5th, so she's a little over 8 months old.
And tell me about how you met Bailey. How Bailey came into your life.
Well, my husband and I always wanted a dachshund, but we moved to an apartment complex actually when we first moved out to Phoenix, and they told us that like the guy who showed him the place told him that we could have a puppy, but then his wife, who I guess is like secretly in charge or whatever, or the decision maker, like decided that she didn't want us to have a dog. So we moved after our lease was up, and we decided to find a complex that took dogs. And then I kind of wanted a rescue, and so I just kind of started looking online for rescues. So we went and met her and her, and there was like a whole litter of puppies. And I guess she was like the challenging one. And so they decided they wanted us to have her, but then they made us go back and meet her again, sort of, because they wanted to make sure we were like up for the challenge, because she's the one that was like super hyper and always getting in everything. And we lived in an apartment, and there was other people who had houses. So, but we, just kind of fell in love.
Did they tell you right away that she was like the problem pup, or did you learn that later on?
They had picked her up for us because they asked us which one of the puppies we want, and we wrote our favorites. But then we're like, we'll take whichever one because they're all adorable. And there was an older, like the mom, and we're like, we'll take whichever. And then they had like selected her for us, and they said it was because of how we interacted, which we didn't really interact very much during that visit. There was like a ton of people all there to like see puppies, probably more people than they had puppies. And then they told us, it was like after they called us and were like, we want you to take Bailey home. They were like, I guess like the woman who was volunteering at the rescue said that like the puppy foster mom like was concerned, like that was one puppy she wanted to make sure like had a home that was a good fit. But we're like, well, yeah, we live in an apartment complex, but we're really active and we'll exercise her lots and it'll be good. And so, so we got to keep her.
Wonderful. So was that moment like that emotionally, how did you feel when they say this is a puppy for you, and you see this puppy and you say this is a puppy for me? What was your emotional process then?
You know, it was actually like they called us and told us that, and we were really excited. My husband originally wanted a boy, and he was looking at the black puppies, but I grew up with like a brown dachshund, and she's brown, so I was super excited to have like a girl that was brown instead of a boy that was black. But they were all adorable, so I would have been happy either way. But then when they called us and told us like, oh, we changed our minds, sort of, like I was kind of pissed off, honestly. I'm like, do you not want like this puppy to have a home? Like, you can't just tell people like, oh, we want you to take this puppy. Oh, but wait. So then we set up another visit. And I remember I was like, she's a little skittish, and I was super paranoid about like holding her, because I'm like, what if she like jumps out of my arms and they decide we're bad puppy parents or something? Like, and I remember like I was paying attention to what I was wearing. I'm like, how do I give the impression of me as a good, like, it's like suddenly we're like auditioning to take a rescue. And then a woman was like talking about Jesus a lot, and we were just kind of smiling and nodding. And then, yeah, it worked.
And now she's been in your life for 8 months, you said, right?
Well, she's 8 months old. We've had her since January.
So how has your life changed?
I just want to hang out with the puppy all day. And then it's like just the kind of routine of like feeding her and playing with her. And it's really good for me because I'm a little bit of a workaholic, and she really breaks up my day. Like, I get to play fetch during the day and just take a little break sometimes. But yeah, but she is really just like a lot of work. We have these little puzzle toys for her that we put it in, and she'll jump with them on the couch and get all the food like inside the couch cushions, and then cry until we pull out the little pellets. Like, she's so annoying sometimes, you know. And then it's kind of funny because, like, I've never had kids. I'm like 37. I've never had kids. When I hear people talk about kids, obviously puppies are like way easier to take care of because you can just like stick them in the crate and leave for a few hours, which you can't do with babies, like human babies. But I do kind of feel like, I don't know if I can actually relate to people that have kids, but I feel like there's some like similarities.
Well, you're responsible for this life.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you're a workaholic, but then you make time to be with Bailey. How does it? You work from home, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I co-work like 1 day a week, maybe.
How is it those days that you work away from home? Are you anxious? Are you waiting to get home to Bailey?
Well, my husband like goes to work early and comes home early, and then I'll leave kind of later in the day, like a late morning, and so she's not alone for that long. But when we went on vacation, and it's not as hard for me when my husband's home with her because I'm traveling, but we were both gone. I left her with a friend, and we really missed her. Like, I had a friend who was puppy sitting, and I'm like, can you send pictures? Any pup dates? And we're like, I don't know. I did some editing for, like, every once in a while I'll do brand editing, and I did some brand editing for a pet site once. Mm-hmm. And the pet people really annoyed me because they, like, had dumb terms for things. Like, instead of crates, they called it habitats, and they called food nutrition, and it just really annoyed me. And then they wouldn't call people pet owners. They would call them pet parents, which I thought was the dumbest thing in the world. Because I'm like, but you didn't give birth to your dog? Like, wouldn't that make you a giant dog or a giant cat? So now I still think it's annoying, but I also use cutesy terms that people probably will find annoying if they don't have pets.
Do you ever stop yourself and be like, wait, did I become that person? Or is it just like, oh, you embrace it?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's kind of cute. Like, hopefully I'm not annoying people by it.
And if you are, they should get a pet, and they should adopt those terms then.
Well, I mean, it's like, yeah, you're not a pet parent because you're not really a parent. But your owner is kind of weird too, because it's like, it's not like an object. Like I'm a car owner, you know. Yeah. So yeah, so I feel like there should be in between. But like, I don't know. Like, I send my husband pictures of Bailey, and we call it the Daily Daily. And like, when we were gonna ask my friend for pup dates, which is probably annoying. It's probably bordering annoying if you don't have a dog. But whatever. I do what I want.
Is Bailey the first pet you own, or have you had pets before?
I had pets growing up. Yeah, and it's actually funny because my parents are they're very into their pets to the point where it's like a little bit annoying. Like they lived in Costa Rica for a while, and like I remember we went to visit, and like my mom would get very upset if restaurants wouldn't let you take the dog inside, which is totally their right. Like, and she'd be like, "Oh, can we move the table outside and make a whole huge deal about it?" And stuff. And I'm like, "You're really being like, I don't know, it's just been sort of excessive." But I mean, I don't want to. I think I have a little more sympathy for it now than I did before. But I guess like, I do think it's weird when people treat other people badly, but then they treat their pets really well. I think that's a little strange.
So it sounds like you have it sounds like a healthy balance. You know, you enjoy her and she's important to you, but you're not obsessed.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe I am obsessed because I take an awful lot of pictures that I post.
Maybe you're proud. You're not obsessed. You're proud of her, or extremely happy to have her.
Yeah, and she's also adorable. So.
What made you decide to go look for her in the first place?
I don't know. We just wanted a dog. We thought it would be fun. And it's like I feel like I don't do a lot of things that are fun sometimes. Like I get really caught up in like work or like social, like activism or like things I feel like I should be doing. And like I just thought it would be really fun, and that like it was something we wanted. We both grew up with dogs. And I just thought it would be cool, and you know, we can afford it. We have time, so yeah. Oh, I guess the other thing that's changed is I really like traveling and I really like hiking, and it's like harder to just get up and go somewhere now because it's like how long are we going to be gone? Like we're going to a lunch in Sedona, which is a drive, and we have to have somebody watch her. So I mean, you can still do it. It's just like if my husband and I want to go somewhere together, it's something we have to like think about and plan out.
Now at the beginning you mentioned a list. Do you wanna keep going this route, or do you want to mention other things from the list?
I can talk about my list.
All right, so tell me what else is on your list.
Well, one of the things was coffee shop. I just really like coffee shops, and I like working in coffee shops and just kind of sitting in them all day. Mm-hmm. And I'm always looking for like that perfect coffee shop, which would have like it would be just quiet enough, but there'd be people. And like maybe they have like poetry readings or like acoustic music, but you can still concentrate on whatever you're reading or working on. And like really good food. And I'm always like looking for a new coffee shop and like open late. So yeah, I just love them.
And do you go recreationally also? You mentioned work, but do you also just go for fun?
Yeah, sometimes I'll bring like if I'm trying to get away from work, I'll leave my laptop at home and I really like graphic novels, so I'll bring like, or maybe like a book because I also enjoy reading, but I'll try to find a book that's not related to work. Sometimes my friends and I will have work dates where we like bring our laptops and go to coffee shop and work, but sometimes I'll just go and hang out.
I'm a big fan of working out of coffee shops, so I 100% understand what you're saying. What about coffee shops? Why do you think you enjoy going to coffee shops as opposed to, say, like your co-working space?
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, well, it depends on the coffee shop, but the type of coffee shop I like, the type of people who gravitate there are really interesting. Like there'll be like a lot of artists and like writers and like students and just like people who are cool, who are like have cool RC bikes that they like painted or whatever. And it's just like a good scene. And plus I'm like obsessed with chocolate, and like a lot of them have really good like food, and you can just get your hot chocolate or your overpriced fancy artisanal chocolate bar and just hang out. And I wonder if I'm outgrowing it sometimes, because sometimes when I'll go to coffee shops I'm like, I'm the oldest person here. But I've always really, even when I lived in the suburbs growing up, and it would be like chain, like there'd be like a Borders and a Barnes and Noble, and the Borders would have a coffee shop. But I found like such good music there. Like if you just went on the days that they had music, it'd be like really good folk music or like acoustic guitar, classical guitar, and like and you can just sit there and drink coffee and listen to music and read or whatever.
This would be live music at the chains?
They used to, yeah. They used to have like, it'd be like every Wednesday or something. I don't know if they do anymore. And like half the coffee shops and bookstores are shut down.
Yeah. Well, all the borders are gone, and what else?
Yeah.
What else is shutting down?
Yeah, all the Borders are gone. Yeah, it's crazy to me that Borders was the one that I always figured Barnes and Noble would be the first to go because Borders seemed more like hip and like they had music, like they had a better business model, I thought. So it was surprising to me that like they were the ones that went bankrupt. I don't know, that was really shocking.
Yeah, and now you have the Barnes and Nobles with their Starbucks, which I'm a fan of Starbucks. I'm not trashing it, but it's a completely different coffee shop scene than what you're describing.
You know, it's interesting how there's different. I lived in like South Scottsdale for a little while, and there was a coffee shop there, like a Starbucks that was really nice, had a really good vibe. But when I go to Phoenix, they really don't have that vibe. So it's interesting how, and it's funny because I started going ironically. Like I was writing an article about like trying to not have people track you, and I'm like, I can't go like for a week. I was like, I can't go anywhere that I've ever been before. So I went to Starbucks because I would never be caught dead in a chain. And I was like, wow, there's like really good air conditioning and there's lots of rooms to sit, like lots of room, and they have really fast Wi-Fi, and there was like outlets under there was like a million places to plug in your laptop, and like they had a lot of food choices, and I'm like, I can see why people go here. This place that I boycotted for not selling like fair trade coffee back in the 90s or something. But my brother works at Starbucks HQ, and he always sends me like gift cards for my birthday to Starbucks.
Yeah, I should use that.
Like, I actually go there now. Not often since I moved to Phoenix, but when I was in Scottsdale, it was like there was another coffee shop across the street called Sip that was like the cool hipster coffee shop, and they had like beer and food and stuff, but like the lighting was really bad, so I couldn't really see, and their Wi-Fi was really inconsistent, and the food was really overpriced. So I don't know, it's pretty weird when like going to Starbucks is your better choice.
I don't know, do you have your regular coffee shops that you go to, or is it just every time you try a different one?
I'm always looking for like the best, quote unquote best one, because the ones I really like right now are like they close early and they're in a part of town that has really bad parking. And then there was one that I really liked going to, but I think it's like, and we felt like one of the baristas was wearing like a crypto fascist band t-shirts, and another one had like a crypto fascist tattoo, and I'm like, is this a fascist coffee shop? And so I stopped going there. I mean, they were kind of trashy, and like everything was falling apart, and like the setup was really weird, and when I take friends there, they wouldn't feel that comfortable there. They're like, this is way too hipster. But they had like really good food, and the coffee was good, and like they had good like coffee drinks. They made their own whipped cream, and like they had really good DJs. Like I remember one time I was trying to Shazam a song because I thought it was really good, and then I realized it was actually a DJ.
Oh, cool.
I like mixing, but yeah, so I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to find this song. But I quit going there, and so now I'm constantly like, and then it's also like, do I want to go, there's coffee shops I don't like that much, but where I'll run into people that I know, and sometimes it's worth it to go there, because I'm like, oh, they have crappy Wi-Fi, and I don't really like this coffee shop, but like sometimes you just want to run into people, you know, without having to like make plans.
So do you have like a rating system? Like, this is a coffee shop I want to go when I interact, and this is a coffee shop I want to go, and you know them all and rate them somehow?
Yeah, and then like what time of day it is and which one's open, and like, you know, how badly do I need Wi-Fi that's working properly, and like what's the parking lot? I mean, it's not really a rating system. It's more like, what are my options at this point in time, and like, which of these things am I most willing to deal with?
I'm visualizing this very elaborate Excel sheet where you input the time of day. Do I feel social? Do I want good
That's
coffee?
Really funny. That's funny. It's funny that you say that because I made a spreadsheet. So I used to train. One of the other things I love is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, even though I haven't trained in a while because of injuries. Whenever I took a gym, it's like kind of a big deal to pick a gym because usually they make you sign a contract and it's weird sometimes when you switch from one gym to another. Like people get weird about it, and so I'd had some bad gym experiences, and now I make this really elaborate. I made this elaborate spreadsheet of like, how comfortable do I feel there? Like what technique, like it was like 10 different categories. And then I would try to figure out like which ones I would give people red, yellow, or green highlighter, like in each category. And then at the end, when I was all done, like evaluating all the gyms, I would decide like which of these are deal breakers. And I don't know, it was like a really geeky way of going about it.
So I wasn't wrong. I was just wrong about what the spreadsheet was for, but you do have it. Just for
I have one for jiu-jitsu gyms. Yeah, and I was about to start doing one because I had a list of gyms here that I wanted to visit because I haven't trained much since I moved. But then I got injured again, so I'm like, I'm gonna hold off for a while. And I really like working out. I really like weightlifting. I need to like relearn like bad movement patterns I have and like take care of that before I do intensive training. I really like massage. That's on my list. The non-painful kind. Hot bath.
I'm like going 5 different directions because I love everything. I want to talk a little bit first. Tell me a little about your jiu-jitsu. How long have you been doing it? And then tell me a little about your massage and what about it you like.
Oh, I was a joke about how I have injuries, so I need a lot of massage. But no, I've trained. I kind of trained on and off for like 6 or 7 years before I got my blue belt. Because it's just harder to like get rank if you're constantly switching gyms. And I think I was sort of inconsistent. Like some weeks I trained like 4 or 5 days, and then I would show up like once or not show up at all the following week. But yeah, I haven't really trained for a while, which is kind of sad because it took me so long to get my blue belt. I'm going to train again. I just need to like work some stuff out. So I was kind of joking about needing massage because I'm always injured. But like usually when you have injuries, the best kind of massage is like incredibly painful. And so I've gotten to the point where I feel like massage that actually feels good is like kind of a ripoff. Or not like a ripoff, but like, I don't know. It feels so good, but I'm like, but I need it to be painful.
Did you feel like you have to work for it to deserve it?
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's like if you're just moving tissue around, it feels really good, but I don't think it's like creating like change. I don't know. Yeah, the best massage I've gotten was stuff I really hated at the time. But and I just my husband is definitely on my things that make me happy list. And I did get a massage, and I gave him, like, I think I had a gift certificate or something, and I spent, like, part of it, and then I put more money on it so he could also get a massage, because I think he would really benefit from it.
You spread the massage love.
Yeah, we split it. Caring is caring.
Yeah. What else? Do you have other stuff on the list?
Yeah, well, my husband's on the list. I could talk about him for, like, a whole episode.
Tell me about your husband.
He's really cool. Like, we're kind of opposites because he's, like, sort of quiet and, like, really mellow and, like, thoughtful. And I'm sort of, like, I'll say stuff. Like, I'll always say exactly what I'm thinking and then, like, sometimes regret it later. And, like, he's more, like thoughtful.
How do you guys meet? Or how do you guys connect?
We met really randomly at an airport in Minnesota, which is really funny because we were both living in Tucson at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we started talking about UFC because we were both UFC fans.
So you saw this guy, you thought he was cute, and you chatted him up, or he saw a girl and thought she was cute, and he chatted you up?
Yeah, I started talking to him first. I mean, I'll make conversations with strangers, but I usually don't get their numbers.
And how did that go? Were you both flying back?
No, he was finishing his master's degree, so he was staying with his parents for a little to like get. I think he just had a few credits left or something. Mm-hmm. And then I had just quit a job. So I was working at a public access TV station, and they were sending me to Minnesota to go to this conference, but I just gotten a teaching job, so I I put in my notice, and they told me that I couldn't go to the conference anymore, and I had to like pay for the ticket, which is totally fair. So I changed the ticket date, and then so like I wasn't even really supposed to be on that flight, but I was going to visit my brother who was living in Minnesota at the time, and then he was visiting his family, and I think he like had some weird like flight cancellations, so he also wasn't supposed to be on that flight. So yeah, it was super random, and yeah, but I don't know. We have a lot of like we're really different temperament wise, I think, but we have a lot of shared interests too. Like we both really like hiking and being outdoors, and we have a little garden now, and we cook a lot together. And we have like shared interests. So I think I like stranger foods than he likes.
Does he come along for the adventure?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I kind of feel like we balance each other really well because he keeps me really grounded, and like we get places on time. And then like sometimes I have to kind of talk him into doing things because like I don't know. I think he's probably not going to want to go to any more murder mystery dinners anytime soon. But like it's kind of expands the things that he would normally do because he would normally he's more routine oriented than I am because I'm like really spontaneous. Yeah, we're definitely different.
How long have you been together?
We've been married for 2 years, July 12th.
Congratulations.
But we've been together for like, we were together for about 7 years before we got married, so it's been 9 years.
So you've known each other very well before you got married, so you knew your differences and how you complement each other before you jumped in.
We were living together for a while. I kind of don't feel like it much really changed after we got married. Like I feel like it was pretty similar to living together.
Now I want to hear more about because I'm fascinated by the idea that you just met at an airport and then now you're married. What happened after that? How was the rest? How do you go from meeting at an airport and then dating and the whole process?
I was going to invite him. I was visiting my brother, and I was going to invite him to some movie we were going to like tag along, basically. And then my brother was like, "Oh, but he said he lived in St. Cloud, which is like a drive. It's not like right in Minneapolis." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay." And then we didn't really talk for a while. And then I had texted him. It was funny because I had just gotten my very first like flip phone. And I texted him, and I think I thought he didn't text me back, but it was just that I didn't know how to check my text messages. But then there was like that big bridge collapse in Minnesota, and I remember like seeing it on the news, and I like texted him to ask him if he was okay. But really, what we had decided to do in that short airport conversation was we wanted to I wanted somebody to watch UFC with, and he like was a UFC fan, and he said his friends had parties. I think the first time we hung out, we went on a date. I remember like his car was not working, and so he wanted to reschedule, and I'm like, well, I could just pick you up. And he said he thought it would be weird to like have me pick him up. That's like sort of traditional, like. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then I remember like he asked where I wanted to go because we wanted to get some food, and I was trying to see how good he was at like making decisions. Like I had like this list of criteria of what I was looking for. I was like, I don't know, where do you want to go? Yeah, I was playing games. No, I was like, where do you want? Well, I really didn't know where I wanted to go, so I wasn't really playing games, but I was taking note of anyway, we ended up at like an Applebee's, and it was so funny because we had a really bad waiter who like, I don't remember if it was a waiter or waitress, but whoever it was very new, and like instead of filling our water would just give us more glasses of water, so we each had like 3 glasses of water by the time we were done. So this whole table was just filled with glasses of water, and then like I think I kind of like this guy because we went to Applebee's and it was weird, but I still want to hang out with him. And then we went to some brewery afterwards in Tucson, and it was cool. But yeah, it was super random. But I remember, like, I told my brother, like, I met this really cool guy in the airport, and he was like, that'll last. and I think, like, Todd, like, told one of his friends that he met someone, and they were like, I bet you're sucking a lot of guys. It's just, like, we just had, like, I don't know, like, skeptics but it still worked out.
Well, it's funny because now in hindsight, nowadays everyone meets online, and you'd meet anyone in person. And this was 9 years ago, and I guess online dating was just starting. So people met in person.
Yeah, I tried like eHarmony and like JDate, and I had really bad experiences. Like I would meet people I really didn't like or that were weird. Like one guy I met, we were meeting for coffee, and like he like was like, "I gotta go now." Walked out in the middle of a cup of coffee, and I was like already like lost respect for him. But yeah, that was super weird. And then like, I remember one time I wanted to go see Shakespeare in the park in Tucson, so I put up like a Craigslist ad saying I had 2 tickets and I was looking for somebody to like go with me. And then what would happen is you would get like 80 responses, and like 3 of them would be in complete sentences. So you'd have like 3 responses to choose from. Yeah, it was weird back then. I don't know if it's gotten any better. Like I feel like there's like really cool apps now that look fun, but I feel like I still know people who have really bad experiences, both men and women. And with women, it's usually like creepy guys, and with men, it's like nobody's responding to them for some reason, even though they're like amazing people. So I don't know. There's still a weird disconnect, I think.
Yeah, so it doesn't make it easier. But I don't know, I guess it's still refreshing to hear a story about people just meeting in person, in real life for the first time. At what point, you said when you met him, you want to hang out with him, but at what point do you realize that there was something there?
I had just seen so many guys that were jerks at that time that I was always really wary going into, like I think I really like this person, but I have to make sure they're like I was very wary to like, because it's just easy for me to be like, oh, this person's great, and then they're not. And so I had like a list even. I made like a list, and like, these are my criteria.
So we know you like making lists, and you know you like checking off criteria of different things.
I think it was a book that encouraged me to make I think it was called If the Buddha Dated or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I remember my friends thought that my list was like, I was telling some friends of mine about my list, and they were like, your list is not, it's like duh, you want to date someone who has a job. Like, they thought my list should have been more like, I don't know, but I just think that's dumb. Like I think you kind of know. It was interesting because you could write like deal breakers on your list so that you don't like talk yourself out of stuff once you like decide you're into somebody. But I think a lot of the things that might be on your list or that you think you care about, like you could meet somebody that you really like that doesn't have all that criteria, and you just know that it works, which is why I kind of like some of these like dating sites that like match people up by algorithms. Like, I don't know if you can ever. I think what people are actually looking for might be different than what they think they're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, or it might work in a different way than they think. I don't know. That's kind of what I love technology, and I love like algorithms, but I feel like it's taking away a little bit of just like sometimes you just run into something that there's no reason why you should like it, but you do, and it like moves you. I feel like we're losing some of that.
Well, since it's based on our interactions and reading what you've written, I was expecting more of a techie conversation and more analytical, and it sounds like you're very in tune with the human side and the human experience. And
oh, that's really interesting. I don't know. I mean, I know in my writing, it's something that my editors point out to me a lot is that I haven't like expressed the human side, like that I need to make the data more human or like come up with more visuals. I'm not very visual at all, and like really bring the story to life that way. And I feel like that's something I'm not good at. I don't know. It's weird. Maybe who I am in writing is different than how I am. Like, I feel like my writing is more crisp and like it is really technical. I do a lot of research to make sure that it's like accurate, and you can't really do that as well in real life. You're just kind of bumbling around.
Even though you write lists, but then you go with what you feel and how you feel and you think. So it sounds like a good balance. Do you have other list items you want to mention, or was that your last? Oh,
the only other thing on there was I listed some TV shows that I like.
Just give us some examples.
Well, I really love Game of Thrones. I just think it's super interesting. And we've gotten really into it. Like Mr. Robot that just started airing last night, but I'm more interested in the tech than the actual human side of it. I just think it's really interesting how they bring it to life and create it in like scenarios that sometimes realistic. And then I really like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I just really enjoy, like, I don't know, I kind of like I guess all of those have a hint of, well, maybe Mr. Robot doesn't, but Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is sort of has that sort of sci-fi aspect to it.
Do you watch?
I like superhero shows and stuff.
Do you watch it like every week, or do you binge watch?
If it's on every week, then you have to watch it every week. You can't, like, I did binge watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to get caught up before it was on every week. But yeah, I don't know. I used to not watch any TV at all, hardly. Like, I just wouldn't watch it. And it's something that sort of slowly grown on me. I'm like, I'll only watch Netflix shows, and there was only like 2 of them, you know, and now there's like a ton of TV. But I do feel like a lot of the TV I watch is bad, and I shouldn't watch it. Like it was good one season, and then it got shitty, and I didn't notice and just kept watching. So that's annoying.
Is it, I don't know if this happens. I used to watch very crappy television, and I used to say to myself, well, I'm doing well in school. I was, at the time I was in engineering school, or then I was in design school. I'm working so hard. You know what? I can watch just like the crappy shows and just enjoy it and not have to think a lot about it. Just take it a little easier. I don't know if that's at all. Is it a matter of like not having to think too much about it when you watch those crappy shows?
I don't know. I mean, my mom watched a lot of bad television. Well, I thought it was really bad television when I was growing up, and she didn't really interact. Kind of like people complain about you're on your phone and like you could be having a conversation. My mom kind of did that with TV, and so I was sort of anti-TV for a while. And I kind of felt like it was a waste of time. I have a problem with, like, I'm trying to like learn to like appreciate even like reading fiction. Sometimes I feel like, oh, this is a waste of time because it's a story that didn't even really happen. And that's true in a sense if you're looking at everything as like, I want to do research and learn history and educate myself, but it's also just really fun to lose yourself in the story. But I guess I feel like in order to convince myself that I should do that, it has to be a really good story, whether it's like a really good, I've been reading the Fables. It's like these graphic novels it's like all these fairy tale characters combined in like one world, and it's just really fun to read. And then if there's like themes that it illustrates themes that you might understand more abstractly, like I think it would probably even help me with my writing, but that's not why I do it. I do it because I'm trying to like get lost in things that aren't work related here. And like, I think there's actually been research that shows that if you read like novels or classic literature, you relate to other people better and understand people more, which is really cool. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I'm kind of a TV snob, I guess.
If you could only watch one show, and one show only, what would that be?
Oh, no. Oh, man. I mean, I just like made a big game of like watching Game of Thrones. I got a Game of Thrones cookbook, and we would cook like Game of Thrones themed meals, and I just had a lot of fun watching that. So that might have to be it, but it's hard to say because Mr. Robot just started, and it's fun. This is more like work now because I'm doing these like chat channels where we like discuss the show, so it feels a little more like work now. I don't know. That's a really hard question because it's also like, these shows end, like the seasons end. And I don't want to like rewatch them forever.
Now, to circle back and merge all the different things you mentioned Bailey, you mentioned coffee shops, you mentioned your husband, you mentioned TV shows. What am I missing? You mentioned different things that make you happy. What would be your ideal scenario, whether it's combining all those different things or if it's something else? What would be like a happy day or a happy week for you?
Oh man, it just depends on the week too, because it's like I really like hiking, but now it's like 100-degree heat, so I'm not gonna hike. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think to be honest, I make a list of things I want to accomplish every year, and I look at it every month to see which one do I need to focus on more next month.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm doing all the things that make me happy, but like, you know, we live in a world that has a lot of problems, which is sort of like the background radiation that, you know, we have to deal with. And so, like, I don't know if I could have an ideal week until, like, there's, like, massive social, like, change.
But do you think it's okay to allow yourself every so often to enjoy those things while we figure the rest out?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think that's really important. But I don't want to lose sight of, like, I don't want to get so caught up in, like, oh, these things make me happy and I'm happy, that I lose sight of, like, the work that needs to be done to, like, create a world where, like, everybody can be happy.
All right, Yael, now I want to move on to the rapid fire section. I have a few questions about different things that make you happy, and I want your gut reaction. Are you ready?
Yes.
Who makes you happy?
My husband.
What is the happiest word you can think of?
Bliss.
Is there a movie or a song that makes you happy?
There's just so many songs. Like, I really, anything by Jake Orvis.
And do you have a happy color?
Purple.
Yael, I had so much fun listening to all the things. I love lists, and I love going into each different element and then circling and connecting them. So I'm very happy that you shared with me and with the audience. Before we go, is there anywhere where we can find you or anything you want to promote?
Oh, cool. Yeah, yaelwrites.com, and then I'm on Twitter at yaelwrites.
And I will link to those things. And I think people should just go on Yael's portfolio. She writes for so many wonderful publications, so everyone should check that out. Yael, thank you very much.
Thank you. This was really fun.
Thank you, Yael, for sharing what makes you happy. And thanks, everyone, for listening. Please don't forget that I'm raising funds for the MS Society to help create a world without multiple sclerosis. Please go to thehappypodcast.com/give to learn how to give to this worthy cause. Thank you to Jason Zapolo for editing this episode, Orly Margulis for help with social media, and Rocio Castañeda for ongoing support. You can find this episode and shows for it at thehappypodcast.com/episode 31, and you can find past episodes, more information about this project, or a contact form at thehappypodcast.com. Don't forget we're on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at The Happy Podcast. And our latest episodes are on YouTube, youtube.com/thehappypodcast. If you like this episode, please go to iTunes and subscribe so you can get weekly episodes in your device. And please leave a review because that's the best way for other people to find the show. Thank you for listening, and I hope you come back next week.